I want to share a story with you, something that happened to me when I was 16. A lesson in humility I'll never forget. It's a hot summer day in Toronto, 2003, the same summer as the Great North American Blackout, for those of you old enough to remember. This all happens in the back of a TTC bus. Now, for those outside Toronto, the TTC stands for the Toronto Transit Commission. It's our public transit system. Basically, a rite of passage for every kid growing up here. It's how you get to class, meet up with friends, or just get that first real taste of independence. And with that freedom, something else happens, especially if you're a teenage boy. Your ego starts to take shape. You become painfully aware of how you look, how you're seen, and especially by girls. And suddenly everything becomes about proving to yourself and everyone else that you're cool. The way that you carry yourself changes, even the clothes you wear or how you decide to wear them. For me, it was all about sagging my pants. Whether it was my jeans or my gray Catholic uniform dress pants, I did it just enough to feel like I fit in. I'm sure I looked like the spokesperson for awkwardness and low confidence. I'm sure I looked ridiculous, but teenage me probably thought I was doing a good job pulling it off. So it's 2003. I've just left the pool hall I used to hang out at after school with my friends. I shot some good games, landed some nice shots, I had my fill of Jamaican beef patties, and it felt like an all-around great day. And I felt like my winning streak was still on even after I started making my way home. Because just as I crossed the street and got to the bus stop, the bus pulled up. Perfect timing. It meant that I didn't have to wait in the summer heat. When the doors swung open, I could feel the cold air hit my face, and that meant the AC wasn't busted, which was often the case along this route. And best of all, the bus was completely empty. My favorite seat, the back corner, was wide open for me. It felt like a private ride with a personal chauffeur. But in a city like Toronto, I knew it wouldn't last very long, so I made sure to make the most of it. I was feeling confident, so I got into my full cool guy mode. And you're probably wondering, what does that look like? Well, what it was basically me just leaning back into my seat, stretching my arm across the backrest beside me. I'd prop my left foot onto the seat in front of me, and I would look out the window in anticipation of any cute girls getting on. Pretty lame, I know. Of course, it's not like I'd actually end up approaching anyone, but I was fully committed to the idea that maybe, just maybe, today would be the day. Spoiler alert, it never was, and I'm sure you saw that coming. Then we pull into a stop, and an elderly woman is waiting to board the bus, and she's got to be in her late 70s, maybe her 80s. Honestly, she reminds me of my grandmother. And she's holding several bags, which look pretty heavy and hard to carry, but she still manages to board the bus without too much trouble. Not exactly the kind of ride I was hoping would get on with me, but hey, maybe next stop, right? So she boards, she pays her fare like everyone else, and as the bus starts moving, I notice she's just standing there. She's not sitting, not putting her bags down to get some rest, just standing and kind of glancing back at me a few times. And despite her age, she looks pretty strong, and she keeps her balance as the bus pulls out of the bus stop. And it doesn't look like she needs any help, and I figure she's just deciding, where she wants to sit. And besides, I got more important things to focus on, like keeping this cool guy persona going for as long as I possibly can, of course. So we pull into the next stop, and it looks like she's finally going to take a seat. Finally. But she starts walking to the back of the bus where I'm sitting. Why is this lady not just sitting in the front? I think to myself, why on my side? Why is she trying to mess with my plans? And now it gets worse because it looks like she's eyeing the seat right in front of me. Why? Why in the world would someone choose to come and sit directly in front of Captain Swagger himself when the bus is literally empty and she could sit anywhere she wants? I was clearly feeling really entitled, and I'm sure it showed in my face and in my body language. So she drops one of the bags onto the seat in front of me, the one with my foot, where my foot was resting. So I immediately take my foot down. And at this point, I'm officially annoyed. Then she starts to sit down, not in front of me, but next to me. Yes, out of all the seats on the empty bus, she chooses to sit next to me. So I drop my arm from the backrest, and I instinctively start kind of adjusting and sitting more upright, almost as if I'm expecting to get an earful from her about my posture. While at the same time, I notice that I'm starting to feel myself becoming smaller on the inside. That sense of annoyance, that cocky energy that I had just a moment ago, it's gone. And it's replaced with something else, something more quiet, a deep sense of embarrassment, because it suddenly hits me that she's doing this on purpose. She saw right through me, right through my lame attempt at being cool. She wasn't fooled. I mean, who would be? She drops the rest of her bags, and one lands on my foot. It kind of hurt, and she didn't seem to care, and I was much too timid to say anything, so I just sat there, boxed in. It took her seconds to completely demolish my adolescent male ego, just like that. Then, of course, because the universe has such a great sense of humor, the next stop comes, and a cute girl steps onto the bus, just as I had hoped. Perfect. There I am, caught pretending to be someone that I'm not. She put me in my place without even saying a word, and that whole daydream, that fantasy, was over. I'm just a 16-year-old Catholic kid with peach fuzz, and I'm wearing saggy pants. I really need a belt, and I'm boxed in by a little old lady with bags on my feet. And I think to myself, my chance is ruined. Now all that girl will see is a guy who's sitting next to his grandmother. Yeah, not exactly cool. And looking back, I'm honestly thankful for that moment. That lady was pretty old at the time, and chances are she's probably no longer with us, but I'm thankful for the lesson that she taught me that day. One big enough that I couldn't ignore, and that still sticks with me 2 decades later. Now, did that cure me of my ego? Of course not. I was still a teenager after all, but it gave me something to reflect on. A reminder that those prideful, ego-filled feelings don't just vanish. They evolve as we grow older and move through different stages in our lives. And those feelings are often tied to the material things that we possess, right? Our jobs, our social standing, or friends even, or lack thereof. There's nothing wrong with being proud or confident, but when those things get threatened, how do you react? Are you left feeling completely defeated or very upset when that happens? If so, that might be a sign to examine what lies at the foundation. What is your sense of pride and confidence actually based on? Are you proud of the choices that you make or the things or the material things that you've acquired over time? Are you confident in who you really are at your core as a person, or just a version that you hope people will believe? Thanks for listening. I hope it gave you something to reflect on. And if you've got a similar experience or story that helped you become more present and really stuck with you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. This is Brian signing off. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.